This is something you all have been asking for nonstop, and it took a long time to put together, but I finally tracked down 3 separate stories that all happened during school. The first incident happened on what felt like a completely ordinary day. I was sitting in my calculus class, 7th period on a Friday. Everyone was restless because the week was basically over and spring break was just around the corner. You could feel the energy in the room, people shifting in their chairs, whispering, counting the minutes. We didn't have a test that day, unlike some of my friends in other classes, so our teacher Hudo was always pretty relaxed, decided to kill time by playing games with us online. He pulled up Sporkle and started quizzing us on random stuff, like brand logos. I still remember the exact second everything changed. One of my friends had just answered a question correctly, Datus. Of all things, when the loudspeaker crackled to life. The dean's voice came through, shaky and urgent. He said this was not a drill and ordered every teacher to immediately go into lockdown. Instantly, my stomach dropped. I felt goosebumps rise up my arms. Even our normally calm teacher looked rattled. He rushed to shut off the lights and motioned for us to move to the far corner of the room. We huddled together, completely silent. About 2 minutes passed before the faint humming. Sound from the electrical panel in the back of the classroom suddenly stopped. The power had been cut. That's when it really sank in. This was serious. A few minutes later, we heard screaming. A man's voice, absolutely unhinged, echoing through the hallway. 2 girls in our class started crying, which only made everything worse. The screaming grew louder, closer. The man began slamming into lockers, shouting that he was going to kill everyone. That was the moment I genuinely thought I might die. Our teacher quietly told us to stay silent. The banging moved from the lockers to our classroom door. One of the girls screamed, "No," and the pounding only intensified. It felt like it went on forever. But eventually the man moved on, still yelling, until his voice faded away. Roughly 10 minutes later, though, it felt like half an hour, the dean came back on the loudspeaker. He explained that an unstable individual had forced his way into the building and attacked the woman at the front desk, causing her to flee. Staff didn't know if he was armed. This was before security cameras or proper guards. So the school was basically defenseless. They searched the building but couldn't find him. Teachers were told to continue class but keep doors locked and not let anyone leave. The most disturbing part came later. A night shift janitor found the man asleep in a storage closet at the far end of the school. Rumors spread that a .44 Magnum was sticking out of his pocket. Somehow, before police arrived, the man vanished. To this day, no one I know ever learned what happened to him. I just hope he ended up getting help. My school had 2 lunch periods. The first was for 6th graders and some 7th graders. The second for the rest of 7th grade and all 8th graders. This lockdown happened in early October on a gloomy, rainy day. During first lunch, I heard 4 loud booms. I assumed it was thunder, but suddenly the entire cafeteria erupted into screams. Security rushed in, shouting at everyone to get into the multi-purpose room. Kids who were in line had to abandon their lunches and run. The multi-purpose room was massive, with a huge glass wall at the back. As we were herded inside, staff rushed to cover the windows with curtains, blocking the view. Adults guarded every exit. My friend Eric asked one of the staff members what was going on. When he came back, he told us that a mentally unstable man living across from the school had barricaded himself in his house. He was threatening suicide and violence if police approached. Dan worse, he had been standing outside earlier, watching students. It turned out he was a registered sex offender. We were trapped in that room for over an hour. Later, we were escorted back to class in small groups. I eventually learned that the man lived next door to my friend Brandy. She told me that the previous Halloween, she'd seen him carving warnings into his arm and writing messages in blood on his window. At the time, people thought it was just a sick Halloween prank. After that day, we knew better. I'm 22 now, fresh out of college, and I recently got hired as a computer intern at my old high school. My office was in the basement, messy and chaotic, but the IT room itself was surprisingly comfortable. Desks, mini fridges, a mounted TV, and blessed air conditioning. I got the job thanks to 3 former teachers who genuinely liked me. A few weeks ago, during lunch, my co-workers Dave and Gary were upstairs. I was eating when I got a call from the front office saying the school was on lockdown and someone possibly armed was inside. My office didn't even have a door. The basement door didn't telelock either. I shut off the lights on my computer screen and started texting Dave and Gary. No response. I sat there in the dark for about 20 minutes. Then I heard the basement door open. Footsteps came down the stairs toward my office. I crawled under my desk. Someone entered but didn't turn on the lights. Silence. Then my phone buzzed. I felt my heart stop. The footsteps moved closer. I panicked and burst out from under the desk, begging whoever it was not to kill me. Someone grabbed my arm. It was a man wearing a red plaid shirt and a dark cap. He said he was hiding too and asked if there was another exit. I told him there was. Then I asked who he was. He said he was there to pick up his son and had been told to hide. Then I checked my phone. A message from Dave Reed. Red shirt, red hat, don't come upstairs. I looked up at the man. My blood ran cold. He noticed my stare. I ran. A gunshot rang out, echoing through the basement. The bullet hit metal somewhere behind me. I made it upstairs where police were waiting and arrested him instantly. Mr. Buckley survived. To this day, no one knows why it happened. But the sound of that gunshot is something I'll never forget. If you made it to the end of this video, take a second to ask yourself what you would have done in that situation. These stories are real reminders that danger, dose, and tea always come with a warning. And sometimes the scariest moments happen in places where we're supposed to feel safe. If you want more true lockdown stories, school horror experiences, and real-life encounters that still haunt people to this day, make sure you subscribe. Drop a comment if you ever experienced a lockdown or if you think you could stay calm in a moment like that. And as always, stay aware, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.